here. I'm so happy to have you here today. And also, we are joined by Coach MJ. You see on the screen, but it's MJ Reynolds. She is one of our newest board members. We're excited to talk with her today. So, MJ, can you tell the people a little bit about who you are and where you grew up and what made you who you are today? Who's MJ?
MJ is Megan. Most people don't know that. Megan from Mobile, Alabama, but born in DC. And I hold that really strong that I have both paths, being able to know about Alabama and then also how the people of DC come together and are able to build for the Black community. I think that I know that that's pretty strong in knowing where I come from, to be honest, knowing that I come from Alabama and DC. What led me into basketball was being a basketball player. And it's crazy because I always told my teammates I never wanted to be a coach. Never.
No.
But I always remember helping, I think I was in 7th or 8th grade because we couldn't play basketball in 6th grade, but I made the basketball team. I had to be in 8th grade because my friend made it and she couldn't play basketball, but she made it when we got 8th grade. And I was coaching her to make a free throw. So I was coaching right there in 8th grade, never realized that I've always been the coach on the floor. So my path chose me. I didn't choose it. I'll just be honest. My path chose me in education and just everything that I've been able to do since honestly moving to DC and going to Howard. That's what trajected my path in sports industry. Meeting Mr. Hill, being a manager on Howard's women's basketball team because I had already used up my eligibility. So becoming a normal student and not being a student athlete, that's what really put me on this path of helping people and making sure that they go where they need to go in the athletic world, because I feel like I wasn't led on the right path, to be honest.
Wow.
That's MJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I love how you have that perspective of just like, one, that your path chose you. That just speaks volumes, just talking about passion and purpose kind of coming together. But having that awareness about yourself, and that just like everybody doesn't have to be a coach. You know, there's so many other industries or should I say jobs within the industry that it sounds like you've been able to explore too.
So many. Like, most people know me because I've been in the gym, on the sideline, behind the clock. I've done everything besides like really coaching in DC, but I'm known as Coach MJ. So knowing all the other industries within sports, all the other jobs, that's another reason why I want to do it, because so many athletes, we don't go to the pro path, but we're always on the sideline. So let's be in the gym and working, and then you're getting paid to do something you enjoy. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, because you find yourself later in life still using those skills you learned, but not being able to hoop anymore or connect with that community of people, like-minded people anymore. So that's another reason why a lot of us still coach or go back and get back, because it's still in us. That fire is still burning for that sport that you grew up playing. I can picture myself now, 70 years old. I'm gonna still be shooting jump shots if I see a basketball.
Indeed.
It's just,
you have to, yeah.
Yeah.
It never goes away.
It never goes away. So hopefully the kids that you work with can feel that passion. And that's another reason why I'm excited, to have you on this board, because Monique has told me so much about you, and just following you on social media and just hearing about what you're doing in the basketball realm. It's like, oh man, I wish I was right there on the court with those girls. I admire what you're doing. And it's so relevant to what we're trying to do with Shero. So I want to ask you, what does joining this board mean to you?
Joining this board means that I'm able to reach the girls that I've always wanted to reach in a more purposeful way, in an intentional way. I've already been in the community, but now with Shero Plan, I can come with a plan. I come with more than just MJ. I can come with the speaking points and make a circle of girls, make a team within, not playing on the court or playing on a soccer field. Like, we're just building each other.
Yeah.
So that's why joining this board is important, because I know that I'm in the community, but now let's grow this community of girls and get them to college and get them on a plan of life.
It's
Awesome.
crazy you say that. When I think about it, when in high school, were we close with the other female athletes? Or were we
It's
just different franchises?
it's so funny because I think about the girls in my hometown. We were always competitive with each other. We never really knew each other. And we were all on the same path. Like we're all trying to get a college scholarship. We're all trying to play basketball, but we didn't like each other. Why? In my hometown is loyalty with your community in high school. But I was like, I wish those adults would have connected us more,
Yes.
would have
Yes.
let us know that we're all on the same path to get to college. We don't have to not like each other or be talking about each other. I'm glad we didn't have social media when I was in high
Oh,
school playing ball. It's kind of
yeah, like,
crazy, but I'm kind of glad we didn't. Interesting I say that because I wish we did, but I'm glad we didn't.
Right. Right. Well, our story, Danielle and I played on opposite, teams, different schools, growing up in the area, but always, on top teams. And I know I knew of Danielle's name just because she was playing at another, great school, with a great basketball team. And so it was nothing for me to say, yeah, that's somebody I would want to know. But I think you make a great point that it is the adult's job to make sure that is a healthy competition, but also that this is still your community. It's still, one big community to work within. And I think that's what we all miss as adults, quite honestly, just that camaraderie. So you're right. Like that is something that I feel like the Shero Plan is able to bring to the forefront to really make sure like we're all in this together. It's a game of life.
All in it together.
Yeah.
Not against each other.
Yeah. That's awesome. We're talking on it a little bit, but I would love to just hear from you. Like, what do you think your greatest strengths are, and how you see incorporating that into the Shero Plan and just you as a board member too?
The passion and light I bring to rooms. Interesting to say that because I don't say it much, but I know when I walk into a room, I just bring myself. And that's a lot to bring. But I want to be my best self when I'm always in a room and give this passion that I have to everybody in the room. Like we all have something to tap into. And I just want to be able to be that person to say, hey, let's go do this. And everybody, let's go. Like bringing that passion of I can bring a team together. To be honest, that's my greatest strength. Reaching that kid that people may not want to talk to, that kid that you may walk past and you may cross the street. But me working in Southeast DC, I've learned that that kid wants you to reach out. That kid wants you to say, hey, what's going on? Who are your heroes? What are your plans in life? Because we all just need guidance. So being that person that can not only bring passion, but guidance from an area where I didn't get it. I love to be that person to give what I didn't, that one little wording or saying that I needed within that moment. I will always want to be that person.
Oof. I feel that. All right. So MJ, now I'm really curious hearing a lot of your background and what you're passionate about. So how do you maintain motivation and inspiration? And this could be, personal and just your professional life too.
The motivation and inspiration comes from knowing that people depend on me, to be honest. And then also knowing that I'm supposed to be my best in every room. And I'm supposed to give grace and I'm supposed to have patience and show love, because everybody has a journey. So my motivation and inspiration comes from I want to inspire the next person to be the person that I needed so that we can all get through life. Reach one, teach one. That's what they all say. Yeah, reach one, teach one. Yeah.
For sure.
It was interesting. Shanette also, she quoted Angela Davis when we interviewed her. And her quote is always, reach back as you climb.
Yeah. Mine's from Kobe. The most important thing is to try to inspire people to be great at whatever they want to do. So yeah, that's what I look at every day.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. Well, our final question, thinking about all of the things, who you are and what we are as Shero Plan coming together. So what do you see as the disruptive forces that are impacting Black girls, Black women in sports? How do you see affecting change? What are those forces you want to bring down?
The disruptive forces impacting our community, I think it's crazy because we all say we're in a technology world and things are like in the palm of our hands. However, I work with middle school kids and they don't even know where to go to find what's in the palm of our hands. Um, most people know that our kids are, they say 2 years behind, but the COVID impacted even more years behind. So reading, writing, the simple basic things of life, to me, that kids aren't getting or is impacting our community the most. And I want to impact that and affect change in that way by being that person in their everyday lives, being that mentor, that life coach that may give them what they may not get at home. Because so many of our parents are suffering and may be depressed and may not have had that person to give them that inspiration. So they don't even know where to give it to their child. So being in a classroom every day and just thinking about the kids that put their heads down so quickly, just being that person to give them that a quote that they can live by, like being that disruptive force and effective change of text Coach MJ because I'm gonna be there for you. Like I ran into a kid the other day. She didn't know I lived in Northeast DC. She got kicked out of our school, but I'm like, text me, Kamaya, like literally. So she's been texting me almost every day. I just want to know that you're safe, you know, making the right decisions because I feel like a lot of times these days our community of kids they don't have that person to remind them, hey, that's not a good idea, right choice, wrong choice. And social media and the way that people are living these days, I don't know, we highlight the bad things, the bad choices, because that's how you make it faster. So just being that person to give people that compass, that moral compass.
And what better person than like your sports coach, right? It kind of minimizes any of the tough stuff. Not that it won't be tough, but if you can have that conversation, get that motivation or encouragement from a coach, I think doing that through sports, man, it's just powerful. So yes, thank you.
You spend a lot of time with your coaches, think about
so
that.
So much. I mean, we got to get them in shape. We got to make sure their grades are good. You got to make sure my plays. Like we really spend 5 to 7 days with our coaches, and if you can become that life person for them, that helps you in your life too, because you can't be telling them to do the right things if you're not making the right choices. So it all adds up. It all comes together. It's all full circle.
Indeed.
Being the change that you want to see, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Living it every day so you can be it, so they can be it. Right?
Yes, ma'am. Well, we thank you, MJ. You just put a lot of passion into this universe, and I'm excited to hear you speak. It definitely took me to a reflective place. So it was something about just speaking with you right now on this good Sunday. You gave a word.
Thank you. A lot of people say that. I just be talking from the heart. I don't talk much, but when I do talk, I try to make it intentional.
Yeah.
Make it intentional.
We feel that. And we're happy to have you on a team.
I'm excited.
Everything that
I'm excited because I know you guys are going to help bring this passion out. Like, keep giving us the events, keep recording us. Like, this is going to help us bring our passions out and lead into the world like I know I'm supposed to be doing. So thank you for always thinking of me, Mo. And I can't wait to get over there to UAE to chill with Danielle and do some international basketball, whatever we need to do. Seriously.
Yes.
It's awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So Shanette, why is joining this board important to you?
Joining the Shero Plan board is very important to me because as I started out my career in sports, nonprofit, there weren't that many women that looked like me. And I think in today's society and age, represent representation matters. And I'm a huge advocate that's passionate about diversity, equity, inclusion within sports and philanthropy. And always think about lift as you rise. Coming up, I always, and still to this day, look up to a great amount of mentors who I don't say mentors, but more so board of directors. And I think coming on this board where we're celebrating Black and Brown women and girls in sports is huge because there's not that many organizations or platforms to help maneuver through society and in this industry, this male-dominated industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with saying that, what are your greatest strengths that you think you can provide to us, or just in general, what are your greatest strengths?
My greatest strengths are being a strategic thinker and planner, then also using my expertise and experience in diversity, equity, inclusion, philanthropy, sports, nonprofit, and community engagement, and bringing all that as a jack of all trades and helping you guys put together a very strategic and thought plan, not just for 1 year, but at least 3 years out, looking at it from a holistic 360 view on how we can put the Shero Plan platform out there, promote it, advocate the different programs and activities that we can do to promote and advocate for Black and Brown women and girls in sports.
That's awesome. I love that too. And maybe even take a step back and just like tell us about yourself and like what led you to your career path. Because hearing those strengths, it's like, how did you get there? How did you get to this place where those are your strengths now?
So it's so funny. I got to this place. I always loved sports. I can play and watch sports all day long. Sports have always been some part of my life ever since I was a kid. How I got here in my career, I didn't have your traditional 4-year college journey. It took me 6 years. That's because I changed my major my junior year of college after shadowing a psychologist because that's what I thought I was going to be, and realized that's not what I wanted to be. And writing always came easy to me. It was always a passion of mine. And so I started out writing for the multicultural magazine and school newspaper in college at Cleveland State University here in Cleveland, Ohio. And I wanted to do sports PR. Did an internship that was boring. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this. Yeah. And so my mentor at the time, who was working at Cleveland State, she took me under her wing and got me into the realm of philanthropy and events. Now, philanthropy always been part of my life as a kid. You know, growing up in a Black church, that's how you give back. But we just didn't know the term is philanthropy. And I've always had a passion of tying sports to social impact and wanted to go into community relations with a professional sports team. But those positions come a dime by a dozen. Because when people get in those positions, they stay in them. So did 3 years as a student assistant in Cleveland State University Athletics. And then when it was time for me to graduate, I worked at the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission for 3 months as an intern. And from there, I got my first full-time job opportunity as the events coordinator with the Ohio State University Athletics and the Jerome Schottenstein Center. And from there, my career took off. I knew I wanted to stay in sports or have some type of tie into sports. So I moved back home and dove right into fundraising because working in nonprofit and community relations, if you can bring in the dollars and revenue and ask for the dollars, you're golden because funding is very important when you want to execute different programs and initiatives. And from there, my career just took off working for United Way of Greater Cleveland, where I was the special events manager, where I did event fundraising, community engagement, special events for the organization. And I got to work with a 3 professional sports team here in Cleveland on different initiatives. And outside of my career, I've been very involved in the community and through different organizations. I'm currently a member of Women in Sports and Events Cleveland chapter, which is also known as WISE. I'm on the
Yes.
board for that. I started out as a member in undergrad in 2010, and now I've been on the executive board since 2016. I also sit on the TJ Carey Foundation as an advisory board member. TJ Carey is a professional football player who has his own foundation around heart awareness because he himself had heart surgery at the age of 15. And then also, I'm a member of Junior League Cleveland, which Junior League has a national arm, but I'm part of the local chapter arm here. So just being part of different organizations, getting the experience to share my expertise, but also building relationships has been key and golden.
Yeah. I like what you said too about just knowing what you didn't like throughout that path. So a lot of key things, but also understanding like how you can tie it all together and understanding like social impact is still community is like still the underpin, I guess, of everything that you were doing. So I love that path. Not as non-traditional as it is, we love it because you're here now. So
thank you.
Yes, definitely. And the community piece, I think that's the biggest piece. You know, we all come from a community and we saw what we wanted more in our community, and we strive to create those things for the people coming behind us. So I'm wondering, what are those things that you see as the disruptive forces that are impacting the community right now that you want to change?
One of the biggest things that I want to change is when it comes to sports, making sure that it's equity for all, that sports can be obtained for all, different opportunities, different ways for kids to express themselves, because sports is a huge team building challenge, an opportunity for youth to build those different skills to help them. So I think having equity for all and where is an opportunity for all is something that I want to change.
That's so important. And me living internationally, I see the affluent era of that. And I always ask myself, man, you know, I wish that my schools that I taught in or went to in the US had those equal opportunities. And I think it's possible for everyone. So the experience that you have, you know, serving on different boards and being amongst different entities can definitely impact for sure. So that's beautiful.
Absolutely. I love it. I love all of it. And I think of course, like your lived experience, you know, coming into it, I think is a huge piece on how to disrupt. Because if we don't have the different perspectives, you know, coming at these different systems, then there's no way to break it down. So I appreciate that a lot as well.
Do you have any questions for us, Jeanette?
No, not I know that we've been talking. I'm excited and ready to get started and can't wait to put together a plan and to grow the Shero Plan.
Awesome. Well, we're grateful for you being on the board and joining us in this movement. It's great to have a team and just like you said, just keep moving and building this thing out. So appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kristen. I'm super excited to be joining the Shero Plan board of advisors. I got to know Monique back in my collegiate days, and she was a fantastic supervisor. So I always look forward to continuing and blossoming relationships that have been fruitful for me and for others. But when she told me about the organization, I was inspired because I do think that there's so much to be had for organizations that show girls and women of color like what you can be. And I know Monique has had a successful career, and it's something that people can aspire to. So I definitely look forward to being a part of this journey and just being a sounding board, how in whatever capacity I can be. I'm still quote unquote somewhat early into my career, but I do think that just from my experiences, it can lend itself to hopefully inspire someone else and just be able to share my journey, and encourage someone if this is something that they would like to do, working in sports, participating in sports, just, sharing the things that I've experienced and hopefully being able to help them navigate whatever those challenges are. Because I feel like that's kind of what Monique did for me, whether she knows it or not. It was my first internship, working for a professional sports team, being a Black woman and being at an organization where you were probably the only one sitting at a table. That was like my first experience of having that, encounter of just being in a room full of non-melanin folks, for lack of better words. But I think that, again, being able to see someone else do it, that was encouraging for me. And I hope to be able to do that with some of the other youth and women that we work with in Shero.
That's beautiful. Tell us about your career now. What are you doing now?
Yes, so now I work in marketing for Wilson Sporting Goods, specifically on our NFL partnership and with the Association of Volleyball Professionals, that's Pro Beach Volleyball for short. So I work in a marketing capacity, just really I work to plan out our partnerships throughout the year, to amplify Wilson's message, to amplify our allyship efforts, and then just overall supporting the Wilson brand and trying to bring in new and diverse audiences. So I also work on our collaboration projects. So doing really cool stuff. I've gotten to work on a Tiffany project, worked on a project with OVO, which is Drake's brand. We launched a Tom Brady ball, but those projects allow me to bring in a new consumer to Wilson. I think most folks, when they hear Wilson, they think of tennis rackets, the GOAT, Serena, Federer, all of those folks. But we also are the official football of the NFL. We also are the official basketball of the NBA. So a lot of different avenues. And I think overall, it's just telling those stories about not just the product, but both brands, or when it is another partnership or another brand we're working with, storytelling about the messaging and the importance of quality products. And then on our allyship efforts, like kind of similarly to what Shero is doing, democratizing sport, giving everyone access to quality products, quality opportunity, whether that's professional or collegiate. So that's kind of what I do now, but I've had a very winding path. As I mentioned, started off with Monique. That was my very first internship with the group sales team with the Mystics. That opportunity then led me to do a PR internship with the Wizards. That was awesome. My senior year at Howard. I didn't immediately go into sports, which I think is a big part of my story, although it was always my aspiration. I didn't, have that job out of college working for a professional team or any sports entity for that matter. So I moved to Chicago. I kind of did some different roles in the media space and landscape. And then I still just kind of continued to network and push myself to find opportunities to get back into sport and to make that pivot. So I took some internships, even though I was working for full time. But ultimately, I think, again, that winding journey helped me to be prepared for when the right opportunity presented itself. And then I was able to go full time working with the Chicago Bulls, which was like my dream job, loved it. And there I worked in the community relations space, which was really, really fulfilling for me. And I got to work with an awesome team. And I think that was also a really cool experience that I was working under leadership of a Black woman. So that was another chance for me to see this is what it looks like to get to the top. There are people excelling that look like me at this level. So that was before I got to Wilson, but overall, just a number of different roles in the sports space. I think I've always been very adaptable. But again, I think the best part about it, especially when I was working with the Bulls in a community facing role, I got to work a lot with youth. And in working with the youth, that was something that I always kind of pushed on them, is just stay prepared for whatever it is that you aspire to do. It may not happen immediately, but I think that's part of my testimony on this Sunday, is that I just kind of stayed at it. And even though it wasn't immediate, I eventually got to where I really wanted to be. And I look forward to kind of where else this journey will take me now that I've moved on to not in the community role anymore, but in a marketing capacity, but working for a large global sports brand now, which has been really, really awesome. So yeah, just a very winding career journey thus far.
Hey, Kristen, I love it because you know what? They always say stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
yeah, and you, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like I knew you in undergrad, but you didn't have like a sport management major when I saw your resume. But you know, I think just the skills and the communication, you know, skills that you had, all that stuff is transferable. I guess
Exactly.
the other question I'm thinking about is like, what are your strengths now? Like with that winding path, like what can you say are your strengths now, and what you're hoping to just grow into for the future?
Absolutely. I think my biggest strengths are, I would say, one, being adaptable. So being able to go into these different spaces and learn new ways of working. So skills are transferable, but it may not be apples to apples. So the way that I worked and communicated at one organization may need to shift a little bit, but the foundation I think is there, to just be able to go in, present what I do know, and then make those tweaks so that it is applicable to that setting and that environment. So being adaptable. And then I think I would say my other strength, and this is more of a soft skill, not a professional skill, but just being an active listener, and being able to be empathetic. So I think that's something I look forward to contributing to the board is, once we start programming and working with organizations, hearing how things are working or hearing how things, they would like to see them shift to work in their favor or things that we can improve upon, and being able to find solutions based off of feedback. I think will probably be, I would say, my two greatest strengths.
Nice. Very nice. Maybe last question, thinking about that and working with organizations that, we need to target. What do you see as the like disruptive forces impacting communities today, that you really want to help to tear down?
Yeah, I think when I thought about this one, as it pertains to girls being in sport, advancing in sport, we can't do it alone. So I think that it's super important. It has gotten a whole lot better as we've seen with allyship. So men stepping in, not saying that we have to use them as a crux to get there as a crutch, but it's always needed in any community. So you think about, joining forces, that just improves or pushes the cause forward a little bit more. So I think it's been really cool to see men come together, support the WNBA, support women's collegiate sports, showing up at the game, amplifying on their social channels, to improve the visibility. I mean, I know last year they said there were record viewership for the WNBA season, which they hadn't seen for a while, which is really cool. But I think that's probably the most disruptive is joining forces to push the cause forward. So, and that's across anything, not just, men helping us out, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I definitely understand. It's that collaboration and not forcing the collaboration, that willingness and that openness.
Genuine, authentic.
Exactly. For them to join forces with us. And you hear a lot about, the disrespect people have towards women's sports. And sad that we live in a world where we need men to speak up in a sense, but we do need it. And we have to be the foundation of that. We have to speak up for ourselves first and show how important it is for us to be amplified in this area. So that was a good one. That was a good one, Kristen.
Yeah, I really like that one too. I mean, division will always, stop a movement from going forward. So, that ally piece, I think you're right. Like it's very huge. So it's twofold. It's definitely us coming together in community and saving ourselves, I like to say, but also, like you said, making sure that we have across the board, like we're all human, right? So at the end of the day, like, why can't we all come together to achieve a goal? I think you're spot on with that, Kristen, for real. Love it.
Sure, we're stronger together. There doesn't have to be a one is better than the other. It's like both can two can both succeed at the same time. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So I think that there's been a lot of improvement, but there's still obviously a lot of work to be done in the space. But I think that's been pretty disruptive so far.
Yeah. Well, Kristen, thank you for joining the board. Thank you for being a part of what this movement is. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the next few steps for Shero.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you, Kristen.
Thanks.
Absolutely.